Hi everyone and welcome back to another video. I hope you're doing really well. If you're a regular here, you'll know that I have been working through quite the extensive list of summer things that I would like to make for summertime. So I've been making some reasonable progress, but today I'm going to start work on my white gathered skirt. And it did seem like there was quite a lot of interest in this one when I shared my summer sewing plans, particularly because I'm going to try and sew it without a pattern. So I thought I would share the process with you and take you along as I work my way through this make and we can kind of do it together, as it were. So I'm kind of going along the lines of these two high street skirts I've seen on the high street and I absolutely loved. Obviously there are loads of different skirts around on the high street at the moment and lots of them are tiered and gathered, but I quite like the ones that are a little bit more simple than that. So I want to go for just a simple gathered skirt. I'd like to put pockets in it, a nice comfortable elasticated waistband, which I would like to make with a flat front if possible. I always think that a flat fronted waistband is sometimes a little bit more flattering, particularly if you've got quite a wide gathered skirt. The fabrics I'm going to be using for my skirts are, for the main part of the skirt, I'm going to be using this beautiful Broderie Anglaise, which I picked up from Fabric Godmother, and this has a really large scale palm tree print all over it. And then for the lining, because I'm going to have to line this for obvious reasons, I've actually gone for a viscose voile fabric, and I'm going to be using that for both the lining and the pockets that I want to include. So I am super excited to get this skirt sewn up, not only because I want to have it in my wardrobe so that I can wear it in the lovely warm weather that we've been having here in the UK and so that I can have it for my holidays, but also because I think I actually have the most perfect pair of shoes to wear with this skirt if everything goes according to plan. So these are the new Miley shoes by Vivea, and if like me you love to wear pretty shoes but you can often find them uncomfortable or narrow on your feet, then you might want to check these out because Vivea actually claim that these are their most comfortable shoes ever. So the Miley shoes are a pretty square-toed ballet style flat, and they have this really interesting cable knit design on them, which I really like. And I think if you're a knitter like me, you'll probably appreciate this kind of design. I think it's really pretty. And what I also really like about the Miley shoes is that they have this lace-up detail to them as well. So if you are someone that finds that when you're wearing ballet flats, they kind of slip on and off of your foot as you're walking sometimes, don't they? I think the laces are a really great and comfortable addition to this kind of shoe because they kind of keep it on your feet as you're walking and they just give you a little bit more security. The Miley shoes also come with additional lace designs as well, so you can switch up your laces depending on your outfit and your mood. What I really love about Vivea is their commitment to being as eco-friendly as possible, whilst also producing high quality and really stylish, comfortable footwear. Each shoe is actually crafted from recycled plastic bottles, and Vivea shoes are really lightweight and extremely flexible. So they literally mold to your feet as if you were walking barefoot. And because of the material they use to make their shoes, they're really breathable too, so you don't get that horrible sweaty feel even if you wear them with bare feet. These Miley shoes also have a lip heel, which you can see here, and this is an extra bit of cushioning that molds around your ankle and just gives you extra ankle support. And it also helps to avoid the slipping up and down and rubbing that you can get when you're wearing flat shoes, which helps to avoid blisters. So this lipped heel will actually help avoid that problem, especially in the hot weather, which I think is great. I also think it's brilliant that you can just throw them in the washing machine when they're dirty to give them a speedy clean up. I love how I can pair my Miley shoes with so much of my wardrobe, both ready to wear and handmade. They look great with jeans, but they also pair so nicely with my handmade dresses too. If you'd like to try out a pair of super comfy shoes from Vivea for yourself, I have a discount code which I will pop on the screen here and also link in the video description. And I'll also leave a direct link to the shoes that I have so that you can pop over and get a little bit more information on them if you'd like to. So I'll be back later in the video to show you how my new skirt looks with my new Miley shoes, but for now let's get into the sewing, shall we? From my main fabric fabric, I'm cutting 2 rectangles measuring my full waist measurement and adding a 1 centimetre seam allowance at each end. The length of my rectangle is 80 centimetres. I got the length I wanted by measuring a ready-to-wear skirt that I like the length of, but you can lengthen or shorten this amount according to your preference. This measurement will give me a 2 times gather at the waist, and I've allowed for a 5 centimetre hem in the length too. I cut the same measurement from the lining fabric, but I cut the length of the lining 10 centimetres shorter. I'm cutting the waistband in 2 parts, one for the flat front, measuring half of my waist measurement plus a 2 centimetre seam allowance at each side. The elastic I'll be using is 4 centimetres wide. This will include a 1.5 centimetre seam allowance to ensure that I can easily thread my elastic through. The back part of my waistband will be elasticated, so I'm cutting a rectangle measuring my full waist measurement plus my 2 centimetre seam allowance. For my pocket pattern piece, I'm using a pattern from Tilly and the Buttons, and this is available as a free download. I'll link it in the video description. Okay, all of my pieces are cut out now, and the first thing I'm going to do is overlock the edges of the main fabric, so the outer fabric sides on both the front and back pieces, and then I'm also going to overlock all around all 4 of the pocket pieces, and that will just allow everything to be neat so that when I attach the pockets to the sides they're already overlocked. I'm not going to do that on the lining, because when I come to sew the lining I'm just going to sew the side seams together and then overlock them together, because we don't need those to be open. Next we need to pin all 4 pocket pieces to the side seam of our skirt. You can place your pockets wherever you prefer, but I decided to pin mine at 6.5 centimetres from the raw edge of the top of my skirt. Stitch your pockets in place. Press them away from the skirt and then understitch to stop the lining from rolling out. Next we need to pin the front and the back skirt pieces together. Starting at the top of the skirt, pin to 1 centimetre into the pockets. Continue to pin all the way around the pocket to 1 centimetre before you get back to the main fabric, and then pin all the way down the rest of the side seam of the skirt. We then need to sew from the top of the skirt to 1 centimetre into the pocket, all around the pocket edge to 1 centimetre, back into the skirt, and then all the way down the edge of the side seam of the fabric. I sewed the side seams of the lining, overlocked them together and pressed them to one side. So for this method of waistband, because I'm having a flat front, we only need to gather the front part of the skirt, because the back is going to be brought in with the elastic panel at the back. So what I'm going to do now is just run 2 rows of gathering stitches all along the front part of my skirt and also on the front of my lining as well. And then we need to gather those in to match up with the front part of our waistband. Just a little point to note with the fabric that I'm using, it does have quite a big sort of selvage at the top of it, so I did cut my fabric, including some of that selvage, so that it was easier to gather, because if you've ever tried gathering Broderie Anglaise before, it's not fun because all of the stitches get caught into the hole. So I was quite grateful for this wide bit of selvage, because I could run my gathering stitches along there and then just have the skirt start with the palm print, rather than the palm print being all enclosed in the gather. So gathering stitches on the front now, front skirt and front lining, and then we pull up the gathers to match the front part of the waistband. Popped the lining into the skirt, matched them wrong sides together and basted the main fabric to the lining so that I could work with them as one piece when it came to attaching the waistband. So my skirt and my lining pieces are tacked together now as one piece all around the waist area. So next what we need to do is actually form the waistband. So to do that, what I'm going to do is just sew the shorter piece of the waistband to the longer piece, right sides together along the short edges to form a tube. And then I'll sew that to my skirt and just enclose all of the raw edges at the top of the skirt. Once your waistband is sewn into a tube, press the seams open and then press one raw edge under, wrong sides together, with a 1 cm seam allowance. Pin the unpressed edge to your skirt, matching the side seams of the waistband to the side seams of the skirt, and stitch in place. Remove the basting stitches. Overlock the waist seam and press it up towards the waistband. Then fold the waistband over to the inside so that the pressed edge is covering your previous stitch line. Pin this in place and then stitch in the ditch from the right side on the back waistband piece only for now. Okay, waistband channel is in, and the reason we're only sewing the back side at the moment is because we're going to leave the front side open so that we can thread the elastic through the back panel, and we can then stitch the elastic into the side seams where the front and back of the waistband join, and that will hold it nice and secure. And then once that elastic is in place, we can then fold the front waistband over and just stitch that in place. So what I'm going to do now is just measure a piece of elastic along the back of my waist. So I want it to be about 0.75 of half of my waist measurement, and that 0.25 will just allow for the stretch of the elastic. All elastics do stretch differently, so what I tend to do is just stretch the elastic on me and just see if it feels comfortable before I then thread it into my waistband. Elastic at the back of the skirt is all now threaded through and sewn in at the side seams. So what I need to do now is just to fold the rest of the waistband to the inside of the skirt, just covering that line of stitching, and just stitch in the ditch along the front like we did for the back, and that will secure the whole of the waistband. I then pressed and pinned my hem of 1 cm and then another 4 cm. I like a nice wide hem, but you could reduce this if you prefer. When it came to the lining, in the end I just decided to overlock the hem and not bother to turn it up. This will save a little bit of bulk on the inside and it's quicker too. A quick try on to check I'm happy with the length. I then stitched the hem and gave it a final, very satisfying press. So here's my finished skirt. I'm really pleased with how this turned out actually. I love how the flat fronted waistband works with a gathered skirt like this. I just find it much more flattering to have a flat fronted waistband, and I like how the gather just kind of gently sits into that waistband rather than all of the elastic and the gather being around your actual waist. I'm really pleased that I put the pockets in as well. As you'll know, if you're a regular here, I'm not always a fan of side seam pockets because I do think they can spoil the lines of a garment, but I think because there's so much fullness and gather in this skirt, they work really nicely and you can't actually really see that they are there when you look at the sides of the skirt. I love how this skirt looks with sandals, and I also love how it looks with my new Miley shoes from Vivea. I think the almond colour of the Miley shoes goes so nicely against the white. It's perfect for summertime, and I know that these are going to be so comfortable for walking around on holiday too. I also love how the lining has worked as well. I think it's really nice to have that sort of shorter lining and longer main fabric, because then you can get the see-throughness of the Broderie Anglaise, as well as it kind of providing as much coverage as you need in a very see-through fabric like this. This was a very speedy sew, and I think if you left out the lining, if you had a fabric that didn't need to be lined, it would be even quicker. And if you wanted it to be even quicker than that, and then of course you could leave out the pockets as well. I also think this would be a really great project for beginners. So if you're a beginner and you fancy sewing up something quick and easy for summertime that's right on trend, because there are loads of skirts like this around on the high street at the moment, really easy to sew and really easy to wear too. So thank you so much for watching, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed today's sew along. Let me know what you think of my skirt, and let me know if you make up your own skirt this summer season. I would love to know. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and if you have enjoyed this video, please do give it a like as well. You can also follow me over on Instagram, and you can join my Patreon community for more behind the scenes and extra videos and tutorials and things like that. Let me know in the comments what you're sewing at the moment. I'd love to know, are you working through a summer wardrobe as well? Let me know. I'd love to chat to you there. Otherwise, take care everyone. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye.